Hey guys, Patricia here from Positive Dog Training, and I'm here to talk with you today about separation anxiety. So, I am a dog behaviorist and certified separation anxiety trainer, and I'm here to talk with you today about separation anxiety. What are the symptoms, and all the things around this topic, which is so mysterious and everyone feels so terrified about it. But you don't have to be terrified of it, okay? Because it's not a monster as everyone think it is, and I'm gonna prove you why I think like that. So separation anxiety is a technical term that we use to diagnose dogs and animals and people that show stress when alone. So this is not exactly how I'm going to talk about separation anxiety here. So I have a very specific description that I want to share with you, so you can focus on that and understand exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about separation anxiety, okay? Because separation anxiety is this big umbrella of loads of behaviors. So we're talking about separation anxiety in a very informal way. And when I'm saying that there is this big umbrella, it means that there is dogs or people or animals that would be very attached to only one person or another animal, but there is other dogs that would be attached to any company, and every single time they are completely alone, this would be a problem. So I'm talking about this kind of separation anxiety as this big umbrella of dogs being, in specifically with dogs, of course, but dogs being a bit distressed when left alone. Okay, so as I told you, lots of them are going to have different reactions to when they are left by themselves. And sometimes they even have reactions related to specific places. So there is some places that they show anxiety and some places that they don't show anxiety. Okay, so I'm talking about all this. So just to clarify this, what are the behaviors that the dogs show when they have separation anxiety, when they are separated from people? And those are the behaviors that we're going to pay attention to in this episode. Okay, so I'm talking about barking, whining, howling, scratching the door, the exit door, staring at the door for hours. Some dogs don't make any noises, but they just cannot get away from it. And then pacing around, panting, drooling, chewing on things, peeing and pooing, and sometimes even being aggressive with the guardians when the guardians are trying to leave the house. Can you imagine that? So each dog is different, and the dogs don't have to show all those symptoms or a certain amount of symptoms for us to believe they have separation anxiety, or to call this in an informal way. But every dog going to show in a different way. So those normally are signs that catch our attention. And then after that, we need to assess, we need the vet input, and we need to make sure that it really is separation anxiety. But those are the symptoms that we're always going to pay attention to make sure that we are not leaving them alone when they are not comfortable with that. So basically, just putting in human terms, because sometimes this is difficult to understand because we love a rule, right? We love it for someone to say to us, for example, oh, you just need 3 symptoms and then you can cause separation anxiety, or if you have this one, then it's 100% sure. But actually rules don't work, right? Especially in those situations when each dog is a different dog. So we need to look at each dog specifically. But I'm just going to put this in human terms because you're going to understand straight away. So for example, I'm scared of spiders, right? But the way I react to spiders, you probably wouldn't even realize there is a spider in the room. So I just shut up completely. I get completely still and I feel very uncomfortable in my body, but I don't make any noise or I don't stand that. So from the outside, you might not even realize that I am going through some kind of panic. So there are some people that would probably scream and run and jump and maybe even kill the spider, even if they are having a panic attack in that moment. But I don't do that. So each person would have a different reaction. And can we say that I suffer less when I see that spider than someone that screams? No, we cannot say that, because each person will, only you can know if you are feeling stressed or in panic. No one else can say that, right? Because how you feel inside your body is the only thing that they're gonna really give us this assurance that you are in panic or not. So if you tell me that this is your reaction and you feel really uncomfortable, then yes, I will believe in you. But with the dogs, we need something, because they cannot tell us. We need something to pay attention to and be able to be reliable. So we will look at all those things that I told you. So why do dogs behave like that? This is an important point. So the dogs need to learn how to be alone, and they don't come with this program installed, as most people like to think, in order to know how to be alone. So think with me that they spend the past 8 to 10 weeks with their with their breeder or with you, and with their litter mates. And now we need to teach them how to be alone in our house, because they never came across that. So the problem is that some dogs have more difficulty than other dogs. And sometimes we go too quickly in the training, or we don't do training at all. And when we leave them for the first time, then they get completely in panic. So panic is, we already talked about this here, but panic is this physical reaction in your body that your body has in order to survive, right? Because it's something that's perceived as a threat. So it's not like you can control your body and be rational in that moment and think, oh no, the human is going to come back because the human loves me. This is what the human does. Or the human has been behind other doors and is completely safe. It's not how it goes, right? So when you get in panic, this is when our body just shut down that part of our brain, and we're just not so rational anymore. So unfortunately, when we reach this panic point, then we have a problem. So basically, this is separation anxiety when we reach that panic point. And when we do the training and the dogs are constantly reaching that panic point, they don't learn how to be alone, because learning doesn't happen in that moment. Okay, so in that moment when you're trying to survive, your brain is like, bro, I really can't learn anything right now. I need to keep you alive. So sorry about that. Not going to happen. So this is why everyone is terrified of separation anxiety training, in my opinion, because when it happens and we try to deal with that, then it's really hard. Then it's already done, right? So because most people don't have experienced eyes, trainer eyes, and even trainers that don't work with separation anxiety sometimes don't have this trained eyes. It's even trainers are scared of separation anxiety. This is what I'm trying to say. It's just crazy the impact this training has on people. So when you don't have those experienced eyes, it's really difficult to read those signs. Oh my God, the dog is almost reaching panic. And when we can't read those signs, then the dog keeps getting in that point over and over and over again. And that dog is getting more and more sensitized with people leaving the house. So the idea of allowing the dog to cry out is not a possibility, because as soon as they get to that point, they don't learn anymore. So I know everyone probably told you to do this, but not the best advice. Most dogs, they will get in panic and their behaviors will intensify. So you will see that the dog sometimes starts whining and then start barking and then start howling. So it gets higher and higher. And sometimes you can even see some dogs, and you might have heard a story about a dog like this before, but you will hear people saying that maybe they left their dog for 4 hours, and then after 4 hours barking, then the dog went to sleep because the dog was exhausted, right? So if we keep doing the training in this way, what happened is that the dogs keep having the same reaction. They keep howling and barking for 4 hours and then going to sleep. So, and they get fitter, right? They learn how to be awake for longer and longer. And so then you actually training the dogs to be more sensitized and bark more and be more stressed in those situations. So this is, in my opinion, the main reason why people are so terrified of it. Because if we pass the point, then it's really difficult for the dog to come back, and no learning going to happen in that moment. So if you hear someone saying, oh, but just allow them to cry out, and then after 20 minutes or an hour or 4 hours, they're going to go to sleep, and then you know that your dog don't have separation anxiety, then remember that every single body needs to have a rest. And this is why probably the dog is being able to sleep after that, because it's absolutely exhausted. Okay, so it's not fun. It's very scary. And I agree. If you are in this situation, I understand why you're terrified of separation anxiety. But there is another reason why I think people are terrified of separation anxiety, which is that you don't use positive reinforcement in this training. What? Most people are gonna fall from their chair at the moment, because I know we use positive reinforcement and it works and we love it and we want to be positive with our dogs and we want them to be happy, but this is not the training. We use food. So food is not involved in separation anxiety training. And if you are using food, it's very likely that you're actually sensitizing the dog to receiving mental stimulation games. So maybe you saw that when you left last time, your dog was not even touching the mental stimulation games, or maybe your dog ate the whole mental stimulation game and then started barking. So maybe you got 15 minutes while the dog was eating, and straight after, when the dog finished eating, then the dog started barking for a long period. So in those situations, then probably what's happening is that either the dog is not even paying attention, getting distracted, eating, and then after that gets in panic because suddenly realize the human is not there, or you dog already realized that every time you put a mental stimulation game on the floor, you leave the house, and the mental stimulation game becomes the scary thing. Okay, so it predicts the scary thing. So therefore, we don't use food, okay? I know that I just gave you some really bad news, but now I'm going to give you some great news, okay? So separation anxiety is very treatable. So in my experience, and I warn you now, this is totally biased, it's just what I think. For most dogs and for the humans, separation anxiety is much easier to train than trying to train a dog to stop barking to other dogs in the street. Okay, so if you ever try to do some reactivity training, in my opinion, that's the hardest one. And why is that? Because we cannot control the variables in aggression training, right? But in separation anxiety, I can control everything. So it's so much easier. We just need to set up the dogs for success. It's just that. But in aggression, most part of the time, I can't control the dogs that are coming in the street. I can't control how close those dogs get to my dog. I can control the noise that they do, the bark, the tag making noises, and all those things can actually make my dog have a reaction. So this makes our training so much easier to be able to control, and the ups and downs of the training are just not the same as in aggression, right? So in separation anxiety, I can control everything in the situation. And as you guys already know, if you still don't know, Now you're going to know I'm a control freak. So training is all about having control over what's happening and how to reinforce your dog and all those things. So if you have that control, then you almost certainly, if you're setting up the dog for success, you will have the behavior you want. Okay. So this is what I had for you guys today. I hope you don't feel so terrified about separation anxiety training anymore. I hope you feel like there is a lot of hope there. I hope you enjoyed as well. It's supposed to be fun, those episodes, and to give you a little bit more of understanding about the best ways to train separation anxiety. And if you want to learn more, you can subscribe to this podcast and you will hear from me very, very soon about more separation anxiety training tips. So speak to you soon. Bye.